Welcome to the Jericho Force podcast, where we learn how to integrate faith into the work that we do. Don't conform to the world's way of doing business. Transform by doing business God's way. Here's our host, my husband, author, speaker, teacher, encourager, and stewardship coach, Jason Davis.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Jericho Force podcast, where we talk about how we integrate faith into the work that we do and live out our faith in the marketplace. My name is Jason Davis, aka Mr. Fortify, and I am your host here on the Jericho Force podcast. Folks, I got to tell you, this is a really exciting interview we have coming up for our show today. I promise you're going to learn something a little different as our guest represents a powerful organization doing great things for the kingdom right here in the marketplace. But before I bring her on, let me introduce her to you. Lauren Gajdek is the Vice President of Communications and Media at Christian Healthcare Ministries. Lauren earned a bachelor's degree in business from Bluffton University and a master's degree in international finance from University of Akron. Her background in communications started as a student publicity assistant in the public relations office at Bluffton. She joined the CHM staff in 2003 as communications director, a role in which she served for 16 years. At the same time, she was an administrator of CHM's prayer page program for pre-existing conditions. In 2019, Lauren became CHM Vice President of Communications and Media with oversight of the ministry's growth marketing, brand integrity, creative content, digital production, and digital promotion teams. In addition, she is responsible for the activities of a 24,000-watt radio station with a 24/7 online streaming service. Over the years, Lauren has enjoyed volunteering at her church in the college ministry, worship team, and children's ministry. She earned a black belt in karate in 2010, and her hobbies include traveling, hiking, kickboxing, and reading. Lauren and her husband Peter, married in 2012, have two daughters, Isabel and Juliet. The Gajdeks are also licensed foster parents. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Jericho Force podcast, Miss Lauren Gajdek. Lauren, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your show, Jason.
Absolutely. Well, Lauren, I'm really excited for our interview because CHM is a unique organization that has biblical backgrounds, and folks, we'll get to that in a little bit. But I'm excited to have this conversation as we get into what you all do, Lauren, that might be a little different from what some people have heard traditionally.
Yeah, so what we do is called health cost sharing, and this is a concept that a few other organizations also do throughout the United States. But Christian Healthcare Ministries is the first to pioneer the concept. And what it is, Jason, is basically just a way of taking care of your healthcare costs. But the process for doing that's a little different than what your listeners might be used to. So this is something where it's a nonprofit model, and it's available to Christians. So anyone who is a professing Christian can join. And what we do is every month, you send in a dollar amount, depending on what program you choose. And then CHM pools those resources together. And we call it sharing. We share your medical bills. And what that means is, you as the patient are in charge of your healthcare. You know how much your healthcare costs because you get the bill and you send the bill to us. And then we will help negotiate on that bill. You might do some negotiating yourself, but we'll certainly help with that. And then we turn around and we actually cut a check to you, the patient, and you pay your healthcare provider. So you're really in the driver's seat. But at the end of the day, the end result is the same. You're getting all of your medical bills taken care of.
Wow, that is so insightful, Lauren, for the type of service that CHM provides. But Lauren, some people have never heard of CHM or Christian Healthcare Ministries. So when did CHM get their start? How was Christian Healthcare Ministries formed?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what happened was back in October of 1981, there was a minister who was traveling with his family. And it's a very sad story that has a happier ending, but they were involved in a terrible car accident where his wife passed away. He lost one of his daughters. And out of that horrible crisis that he had to face, spiritually and emotionally, he also had this financial burden of these huge medical bills, and he didn't have any way to pay for those. So he had started a rescue mission a while back for those who are addicted to alcohol. And what he did was he had a newsletter that he sent out to all the people who supported the rescue mission. And he said, "Hey, everybody, I just wanted to let you know this is what happened to my family, and I just have no way to pay for these medical bills. Would you consider sending in a donation to help with the costs?" And he got such a great response. He thought, "Oh my goodness, if this worked for me, I bet this could work for other pastors, missionaries, and just, everyday folks, Christians who want to be part of a biblical model of taking care of each other's health care."
Wow. So, folks, this organization has as Lauren stated, maybe not the greatest, a little bit of tragedy in there, but as the faith-based community does, Christian community in action coming together. And so that is a great origin story, or at least the outcome aspect, Lauren. So I appreciate you giving us that historical context. Lauren, we know, being a Christian organization, what's the biblical basis for CHM?
Yeah, we have a foundational verse, which is Galatians 6:2. And what that says is to carry each other's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. And we believe that's what we are doing in the area of healthcare costs. If you think about healthcare, there are some things that are routine and you can predict what's going to happen, right? You're going to have to get a prescription every now and then. You'll probably have to go get your eyes checked out, well visits and that sort of thing. But you can't predict what happens all the time. And that's what happened in the case of our founder in the car accident. So Christian Healthcare Ministries, it really exists to help people with those big burdens that they can't carry alone. And that's why we picked Galatians 6:2 as our foundational verse.
Wow. I love that. Lauren, when an organization rallies around the Word of God as you have. I share similar sentiments when it comes to purpose and whys, just establishing it around the Word of God. I love that. Now, Lauren, you went into a little bit of this earlier, but just talk to us about how CHM works, and we'll get into health cost sharing here in a second, but just walk someone through. They come, they have their CHM plan that they're on. How does the process work day to day in dealing with a health incident?
Yeah, that's a great question. So like I mentioned earlier, you would send in a predetermined amount of money, and we call it our monthly gift amount. So you would choose what program you want, and then you would send that in to our office every month. And we do it that way because that's really the best way to prevent fraud. The IRS has recommended this way of handling the funds. So we do take all of the funds into our office. But then, what happens if your son falls out of a tree and breaks his leg? That's something that you don't want to have to worry about getting pre-authorization to get treatment. That's an emergency. So you just want to go and take care of that as quickly as you can. And with CHM, you can go to the doctor or hospital of your choice. We don't have a provider network. The only caveat is that the treatment needs to fall under our guidelines. So we share our guidelines with every member who joins. They're also on our website for anyone to see. And in the scenario of falling out of the tree and the broken leg, you go and you get the treatment, you get it taken care of, and then you turn around and you send those medical bills into us. So you want to tell your healthcare provider, hey, I'm actually considered a self-pay patient, but I'm a member of a Christian healthcare sharing organization. Can you bill me directly? So they'll send you the bill. You send that into us. And like I said earlier, we'll work on some discounts. You may have already achieved a discount. A lot of times the healthcare providers will give a discount just because you're what's called a self-pay patient. With Christian Healthcare Ministries, there's no guarantee of payment because this is a faith-based organization. But with that being said, we've been around for 40 years, like you and I were talking about earlier. And we've actually satisfied almost $8 billion. That's billion with a B of our members' healthcare costs. So, you can have some confidence in the program. And, after you have sent in your bills to us, like I said, we work on those. We can help you get a better discount in some cases. And then we turn around, we send those funds back to you. Whatever's eligible for sharing, according to our guidelines, that's the check that you will get. And we do help with 100% of all qualifying medical bills. So you will receive that check or checks, then you would go ahead and pay your healthcare provider.
Wow. Lauren, folks, if you're listening, 2 words come to mind: trustworthiness and confidence. So you can be sure when you're working with Christian Healthcare Ministries that things get taken care of with a spirit of excellence. So thank you for going into that for us, Lauren.
Absolutely.
Now, Lauren, some people listening, they're new to the terminology health cost sharing. Can you talk about what that is and how that might be a little different from what people are used to?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. I think I touched on it a little bit earlier, but health cost sharing is simply a budget-friendly way of getting your healthcare costs taken care of. It's a little bit of an untraditional method, but it works just as well. In my opinion, it works better because you know how much your healthcare providers are charging you. So, you're not being overcharged for your healthcare. You're not, sometimes hospitals will mark up their bills and things like that. But you see that, and, so there's a lot of viability there as far as there's transparency in the pricing, and, you can participate with confidence because, it's your brothers and sisters in Christ who are coming alongside of you. They've made the same commitment that you have. And it's really a neat picture of the body of Christ, that goes beyond your local congregation, which, obviously we have great respect for the local church, but sometimes they aren't able to help financially with this type of need either. So this is really just, if you will, an extension of the body of Christ coming alongside of you in your time of need.
Absolutely. My goodness. And with that, Lauren, with the health cost sharing model, you had started to get into the types of plans that CHM offers. So with I believe it's the gold, the silver, and the bronze, can you just touch on the differences between those plans?
Yeah, I can absolutely do that. So our gold program is $205 per unit per month. What that means is, like, if you have a family, you'd have mom being 1 unit, dad being 1 unit, and then all of your dependent children together are just 1 unit. So no family on any of our programs will ever pay more than 3 units per month. So just wanted to explain that a little bit before I get into the gold program a little more. But the gold program is $205 per unit per month. And this is really our best program in terms of, we have a maternity included with that. So if you're looking to grow your family, we have an excellent maternity program that goes along with gold. Some physical therapy is included. And then what we say is if it's incident related, so if it's a prescription or a doctor's visit that is related to like a surgery, we'll include those types of expenses too. So the more routine types of things like a medication that you might have to take every month indefinitely, that would not be a part of our gold program, but anything related to a surgery or a pregnancy or what have you, that would be included. And then our silver program and our bronze program are very similar. So I'll kind of talk about them at the same time. But our silver program is $125 per unit per month, and our bronze program is $85. And what these are is primarily for, emergencies or anything you can't really anticipate. So, if you need to have surgery, if you need to, whether it's elective or emergency surgery, that would be included under our bronze program. Also, if you were to have surgery at a doctor's office, that would be included in silver and bronze. What it does not include is maternity, testing and treatment outside of a hospital, that sort of thing. And then a little bit of an extra that you can tag on to all three of our programs is called Brother's Keeper. And hopefully I'm not getting into the weeds too much, but to keep it short and sweet, Brother's Keeper is an optional program that will extend your maximum sharing amount. So each of our gold, silver, and bronze programs shares up to $125,000 per illness. If you get Brother's Keeper, that will extend that limit up quite a bit higher.
Gotcha. That's a great breakdown, Lauren. Obviously, all the plans are wonderful, but I've kind of got my pen circled around that gold plan, but whatever the families, whatever is available, it is certainly there for you. So thank you for that breakdown, Lauren. You talked about earlier who CHM is for, professing Christians. What is the process for people to join CHM?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that question. It's actually very easy to do. And all you really need to do is go online and complete our membership application. And, you would receive an immediate confirmation that you have signed up. The only caveat to all of that is if you do have a pre-existing condition, there are some certain limitations that would apply. But we do have programs for pre-existing, and you can become a member right away. All you have to do is sign up.
Absolutely. I think you touched on this a little bit earlier, Lauren, but with the maternity program, what are some of the elements of care associated with it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it would be prenatal, postnatal care up to 6 weeks. If you needed to have a C-section, if you needed, if you had some complications that would arise from your pregnancy, those are all included. Really, the only things that are not included in our maternity program is immunizations and, care for the baby after the 6 weeks, that sort of thing. At that point, we would want you to go ahead and add the baby to your membership. And they would become, if they're your first child, they would become your third unit of your membership. And if they're your second child, third child, fourth child, we would just add them to the existing children unit that you have on your membership.
Wow, that's fantastic, Lauren. The folks, if you're listening, we're checking the box here to remove the hesitancy. Lauren, one last piece that some folks hesitate on, and that's with regards to Medicare. So how does CHM handle Medicare?
Yeah, we do work with folks who have Medicare. That's not a problem at all. We have a program just for them called Senior Share. And what that is it's essentially our gold program. So it's a robust program, but the Medicare will have to pay first. So what happens is, if you go get treatment, if you have to have a surgery or something like that, then you would go ahead and Medicare would pay whatever it's going to pay. And then CHM would step in to help you with the rest, which is typically about 20% is generally what we see. And it's a really nice program. It's priced well. It's very budget friendly, for folks who are on a fixed income, that sort of thing. But we do have quite a lot of members who are in that age group who enjoy the Senior Share program.
That's good to know. So, folks, if you're listening to what Lauren's saying, hopefully your ears are perking up for what they handle for sure. Lauren, we know there's been a lot of laws passed around health care. We know it's a hot topic in multiple elections. So thinking about the Affordable Care Act, how is CHM classified with regards to it?
Well, Christian Healthcare Ministries is a federally certified exemption to the Affordable Care Act. What that means is there was a special concession that was made in the law for healthcare sharing ministries who fulfilled certain requirements. So, for example, we have to undergo an annual independent audit, which we did that anyways because financial transparency is very important to us. But according to the federal government, according to the law, the Affordable Care Act, and Health and Human Services, CHM is an option under the law, and you can have CHM over various health plans that you might have before. We do have some people who like to keep their insurance plan, but also use Christian Healthcare Ministries. And when they do that, the insurance just pays first, and then CHM is secondary to that.
Understood. Thank you so much for that. Lauren, you've started to touch on this a little bit earlier, revealing some goodies for us. What other programs does CHM provide that people usually don't know about?
Yeah, I would say there's a couple of things. One of them is our Bring a Friend referral program. So when you use Bring a Friend, when you refer somebody to join, what happens is after they've paid for 3 months, then you get a membership credit. So just for apples to apples comparison, let's just say that you're on the gold program and you refer somebody else who also joins at the gold program. So you would actually get a dollar for dollar credit. You would get $205, which is the value of their gold membership. And then you would essentially get a free month. You would get a free month because they're gold and you're gold. And we do the same thing with our other programs. So if you're gold and you refer someone who's silver, you would get a credit against your membership, a discount, if you will, equal to the silver dollar amount that they pay every month. So that's a really neat program that you can take advantage of and reduce your healthcare costs even further. And there's a limit of 12 of those per year. But, essentially some people are getting free healthcare all year long because they're referring so many other people to join. And then the other program I would mention is we just started offering this in 2021. But we do now offer a free telemedicine program to all of our members. In the wake of COVID, that was something that really became in demand. And people can talk to board certified doctors, really any time of the day. If you just have a rash or, if your child has the sniffles and you don't necessarily want to run off to the doctor's office and have to pay for that, you can take advantage of our free telemedicine program. It's at no cost to our members.
Wow, those are some great incentives, Lauren. A referral program and then telemedicine. That's where a lot of industry is going. So very, very flexible options there. Lauren, you kind of provided the segue here. Coming into life after the pandemic, I know COVID's still kind of hanging around there with the different variants, but what's next for CHM as you all usher what you do through these last two and a half years? What's next?
Yeah, I appreciate you asking that question because, I feel like the wheels at CHM never really stopped turning. Even during the pandemic, we were back to work after a short period of time, people were working from home, making sure that we were taking care of our members, making sure that their medical bills are being taken care of. So we never really stopped with any of that. And, we have helped people with thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars from COVID related medical bills as well. And we still see some of that happening, but it hasn't affected our ability to serve our members or our costs or really anything like that. God has really been faithful, in helping us to continue to help our members throughout the pandemic and now as we're kind of on the back end of it.
Wow, that's powerful, Lauren, as CHM goes into the future. As you said, the wheels never stop. You just keep on going and keep on serving, and what an impact. As we know, many have experienced different things over the last two and a half years. Yeah, Lauren, there was a lot listed in your bio, and it sounds like you get to have a lot of fun day to day, but talk to us about your role at Christian Healthcare Ministries.
Yeah, so I'm the Vice President of Communications and Media, and I have been working here for 19 years, which seems incredible to me that it went that quickly. But I do have 6 departments that I'm responsible for. One of them is a 24,000 watt radio station, and that is really a ministry outreach that we do to help spread the gospel through Christian teaching and music. So that's a little bit different than the other departments that I'm taking care of. Those teams are more so, in charge of our promotional efforts, in charge of our website, in charge of, any written communication that you could possibly think of, email, social media. We do conferences and events. So we've got a lot going on all the time. It's a really fun team to be a part of. Just some really creative people, always thinking outside the box and trying to find new ways to both serve our members and also to grow the ministry so that more people can take advantage of this wonderful option for their health care.
That's awesome, Lauren. I could hear the joy in your voice. What do you like most about working for an organization like CHM?
I would say what I appreciate most about CHM is how genuine the people are here. Our staff and our members alike, actually. I've talked to a number of members over the years, of course. But our staff is just really has a heart to serve people. And it's an environment that you don't typically find. Sometimes even in Christian ministries, you don't find this type of environment where, it's not that we're perfect. We're far from perfect. But there is really a spirit of wanting to serve, wanting to do what's right in the eyes of the Lord. And I just wish that every person who is a member or who is considering becoming a member could just take a quick peek inside these 4 walls and kind of see what goes on here on a daily basis. We have a weekly chapel service, that is edifying for our staff so that we can take what the Lord has spoken to us and the joy that he's poured into us. And we can transmit that over to our conversations with our members and the ways that we interact with them. Because, these folks are going through some of the most difficult times of their lives in some cases. There's some really heavy and tough topics, tough things that they have to deal with their health. And it's so great to just be able to be a vessel to pour into them when they're facing those really difficult times of their lives.
Wow. That's exciting, Lauren. Lauren, we're in the back half of 2022. What are you looking forward to? As I feel like this year is just blown by, but as we enter the second part of 2022, what are you excited about for finishing the year and then maybe even going into 2023 for CHM?
Yeah, another great question. I think I would say I'm really excited to be able to offer more technical solutions to our members. We have a new chief financial officer who started this year, and there's a lot that we can do to make the member experience better through technology. We've always kind of been proud of the fact that we provide great customer service, and we really care about the folks who call on the phone, and that's not going to go away. We're still going to be interacting with folks all the time. But just to make their life easier, technically speaking, when they're sending in their medical bills or when they want to make a change to their membership, just making their life easier and using technology to do that. We've got some really exciting initiatives coming up that will be rolling out soon.
Outstanding. Lauren, as we get ready to close this interview here on the Jericho Force podcast, I'm sure by now people are really excited and intrigued about CHM. What's the best thing people can do to connect with CHM and take the next step?
Yeah, the number one way is to go to our website, which is chministries.org, and I'll repeat that, chministries.org. And from there, you can just find a whole bunch of information about how we work, what we do. You might have questions about certain health conditions and things like that. Most of those questions can be answered on our site. We also have a live chat feature. You can reach out to us that way. And you're more than welcome to call. We have plenty of people who would love to speak with you. So thank you so much. And I just really appreciate you letting me speak to your audience today.
Absolutely. No, folks, that's all we have time for. But Lauren, we just want to just a huge thank you for taking time out of your schedule, serving your members to come and hang out with us here on the Jericho Force podcast.
Thank you, Jason. It's my pleasure.
All right. Well, folks, that's all we've got time for today, but you know how we leave things. Don't conform to the world's way of doing business. Transform by doing business God's way. We'll see you next time on the Jericho Force podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Jericho Force podcast. You can catch us live on Wednesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time and on demand. Check out jerichoforce.com/podcast for more details. To learn how to live out your faith in the marketplace, grab a copy of Jason Davis's book, Fortify, Being Rooted in God's Plan for Work and Business, available on Amazon.
You're listening to Jules Live Worldwide Podcast.